Kratz, real question for you. So I'm in Arena Club and I opened up a slab pack. I pulled a Wyatt Langford auto rookie card. I got an immediate offer from Arena Club. I turned it down. It was in the mid 300s range.
How we doing, everybody? Welcome to Monster Territory. Sorry about the technical difficulties right there. That did not mean to play right there. My goodness, what is going on? The Red Sox playing sloppy today. Everything going on over here is getting all sloppy. Let's get to the post-game show. Welcome, everybody. How you doing? The Red Sox lose today, dropping the series in the post-Raffy. Their first series lost in the post-Raffy era. This could have been one of those feel-good series wins where you're going up against your old star. I understand, he's just one of 26, but, you'd feel pretty good walking away, after trading your best player and then getting a series win against that player. Will it mean much in the long run? We'll just have to wait and see on that. But credit to the Giants this weekend. They played a cleaner brand of baseball than the Red Sox. Ladies and gentlemen, I am getting rather frustrated at all of the sloppiness, especially at second base. I know what the answer is. It is going to happen in time, but they got to get Marcelo Meyer over to second base. Another key error today for the Red Sox at second base. Romy, same thing the other night, right? David Hamilton had a big error there, but he made up for it with the home run on Friday night. And then today, Romy homered, but then he followed it up with the error at second base that ended up being very costly. They got to fix this, right? I tweeted about this during the game, where the spine of your team defensively is so important, right? Center field, shortstop, second base, catcher. Up the middle defense is so important when it comes to winning games, especially close games, right? Those are the positions that are the most important because they're going to get the most activity. And when you're making key errors there in close games, you're going to feel it, right? They have really got to shore it up there at second base. I think Marcelo Meyer needs to be the answer. I think he will be the answer when Alex Bregman comes back here in due time, whether that's, right before the All-Star break, after the All-Star break, whatever it may be. They got to get Meyer over there. Or I've seen people say move Trevor Story there. When you take a look at the metrics, maybe Trevor Story would be the better fit at second base. But you got to also consider, too, he is the veteran. He's the shortstop. He's one of the leaders of the team. I'm pretty sure Trevor Story is going to be staying at second base. So the next guy, in my opinion, it's got to be Marcelo Meyer. He's been great defensively at third base. He did not play today, but very sloppy. Red Sox 40-39. And, I know what people are going to say. On Twitter, on social media. They're going to say, see, this is what happens when you trade away your star player. This is what happens when you trade Raffy Devers. I know that's going to be a big reaction out there, but no, I think the Red Sox easily could have won this series. Yesterday, it happens. You got shut out yesterday. Landon Roop, he pitched great. Giants have a great bullpen as well. What can you do in that situation? But today, this is a winnable game. You should have won this game today. And I'm also going to point this out how do I say this? Because I don't like complaining about umpires. I don't. Over all my years of watching baseball, I've seen umpires make mistakes, but it always happens on both sides. But holy cow, the umpires today, poor performance, in my opinion. Not even just the umpires, but the people up in New York reviewing the challenges, and they messed up too. Major League Baseball, if you're watching this, shame on you. You goofed that up today, and you need to do better. Enough of this. If you got replay, if you're going to be up there in the booth, wherever you are, looking at these plays, you need to do better. Jarren Duran thrown out today in the 8th inning. Very close play. But when you have the technology to review the play, you can slow it down as much as you can. The fact that Nesson was putting it on the screen today and showing everyone watching at home, they were showing it on the big screen too at Oracle. How do you get this wrong? Major League Baseball, one more time. You need to do better. Bullpen today, unfortunately, couldn't really get it locked down. The return of heart attack Greg Weissert is here. I've been feeling it over the last few outings. He was looking dominant there for a little stretch, but now he's starting to come back where he's allowing these base runners to come on, get on. He's giving up some hits. Greg Weissert today wasn't able to lock it down, but then I could also look at, Lucas Giolito today. You're not going to have a perfect performance every time, but I don't mind these outings where, you have a couple of bumps along the way. I think there's a fair argument for Lucas Giolito to stay in the game today for the 7th inning. It's kind of, maybe I'm old-fashioned. I know there's a new way of the game these days where, you don't like to expose yourself to the lineup too much. You like to get to that bullpen. But to me, I think Giolito, he was looking very good at the end of his outing. I think he probably bought himself another inning. I'll talk about that in just a little bit. It was just a mess today. Second base, umpires, bullpen not fully, coming through. Offensively, no issues here today. They're right, hitting the long ball, hitting the long ball. Shout out Romy Gonzalez, Rob Refsnyder, and Cedar Rafaela, especially Cedar Rafaela. A couple of plays out there today in center field, and then just coming through with a big-time home run. I really think Rafaela is one of the most underrated players in Major League Baseball. Great defense. He's doing some things with the bat, especially in high-leverage spots. Cedar Rafaela, man, it's too bad that offense was wasted today. But let's start off here with Lucas Giolito. Let's get to him real quick. Okay. 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, 4 runs. 2 of them were earned, a couple of errors along the way. 5 strikeouts, 2 home runs allowed on the day. He was living up in the zone with the fastball. That's what Giolito usually likes to do. I felt like, he probably could have mixed in a few more changeups there. I'm a big fan of that combo, living up in the zone with the fastball, going a little low with the changeup. Now, he was throwing a decent amount of changeups today. 26% on the year, 22% today, but he was leaving some changeups up in the zone here today. I'm not a fan of that. You got to get those changeups down in the zone. He would probably even say the same thing. I just felt like he was living around the strike zone a little too much. 3rd inning is where he was running into some trouble. Casey Schmidt had himself a really solid day today. He was a thorn in the side of the Red Sox pitching. He had a base hit, and then Patrick Bailey, this is where he had some sloppiness again. Patrick Bailey reaching on an error. It was a pop-up left field. Jaron Duran, Nate Eaton, who had to start at third base today, got a little tangled up out there. You got to communicate better out there, but that's going to be on Duran. He's coming in. You just got to communicate. I get it. Nate Eaton, he's only, just really coming up. He's kind of just helping out, really. You got to communicate better out there, I don't know. I can see a lot of people saying, "Oh, what's Nate Eaton doing?" I like Nate Eaton, man. He's a guy that he does a lot of the little things. He's going to be a pretty solid defensive player. He's going to give you a little speed as well. But I think Duran, I think he's got to, step up a little bit more when it comes to the communicating out there, right? But he's been in the outfield a long time now, and I feel like with Duran, this year we have seen Duran. If this is like a one-time thing, like, okay, you know what? Hey, stuff happens. But you've been seeing Duran this year. He's having himself quite a lot of mishaps out there. Am I the only one noticing that? Right? Whether it's drop balls or whatever it may be, miscommunication. I feel like Duran is getting into these kind of situations a lot. But moving on here. Fitzgerald with the sack bunt. That moved the runners over to second and third. Devers with the walk to load the bases. I wasn't really mad at that really at all. I'd rather, you just go with Elliot Ramos at that point. But ended up having the base hit. That scored 2. It made 2-1. Devers was tagged out to end the inning. To me, it is what it is. It's kind of like a pick your poison situation. You go up against Devers there, right? He was working the count. He was doing well. And Ramos, He's a good hitter, man. So it's like, what do you even do? This is what makes lineups when you have that protection. Makes these lineups so tough, man. Fifth inning, Casey Schmidt, home run, 92 miles per hour, just right over the middle of the plate. I mean, I don't care who you are. 92 miles an hour, you just can't be leaving that in the middle of the plate. They made a 4-3. Yastrzemski, this is one of the change-ups that Giolito, he hung. Home run, 4-4. That's where I felt like Giolito was playing with fire a little bit, leaving those change-ups in the zone here today. To me, got to stay low, man. Got to stay low. Sixth inning, this is where Giolito, I thought, looked very good, right? Got Ramos and Flores on the strikeout. Got Jung-Hoo Lee to ground out. This is where I think, you could argue that Giolito bought himself a little bit more time. I think he bought himself another inning. You just had Seti give you a home run. They made it 5-4. You had some momentum there. He was only at 83 pitches. Adames up to that point was 0 for 2. Schmidt was having a good day up to that point. But then right after him, you got Patrick Bailey, who's just stunk this year at the plate. Sure, Greg Weissert, he has to execute, absolutely. But I don't know. I'm old-fashioned, man. I like keeping your guy in there, especially if he's at 83 pitches. At least give him, give him a little bit more time there. But, maybe another batter or two at least. I don't know. But Greg Weissert came in. Adames had the base hit. And that's another thing, too. It's like Adames hadn't really, he put the bat on the ball, but hadn't really figured out Giolito up to that point. He looked a lot more comfortable against Weissert. Adames with the base hit, Bailey grounded out, and then Schmidt with a double, right? That moved the runners over. Again, I felt like no one was going to get Schmidt out today. He was just that good. But then Fitzgerald with the sac bunt, that tied it at 5. Then you bring in Justin Wilson. So, Greg Weissert, going back over this last month here for the month of June, overall he's been very good. But lately he's been running into a couple of issues. The command, I feel like, isn't quite there. So I don't know. He's got to get back in the lab and get back to doing what he was doing before. Then this is where the sloppiness came into play. Yastrzemski, liner to second base, pretty hard hit ball, but not like a 120 mile an hour ball by any means, right? Got some solid contact, but right off of Romy's glove at second base. I don't know, man. It's like ever since, you think back to Dustin Pedroia, how he held down that position for so long. And then, you had Story there in 22. Bogarts was at short. That was looking pretty good. But since then, it's been awful. And actually, the stats show that. Going back to 2023, the Red Sox rank dead last in outs above average at second base. They've got to clean that up, man. It's been a black hole for them. It's been just this revolving door. You need to get an everyday answer. And we were all hoping Christian Campbell was going to be that guy. Unfortunately, he just had a hard time. He's down in Worcester now. I feel like the future for him, it's mostly going to be at first base. He's taking more pregame grounders today at first base. Started to look pretty smooth, might I add. It looks like he's feeling a little more confident there. Maybe plays a little second base, some center field along the way. But they got to figure this out, man. And I think Marcelo Meyer is going to be the answer eventually. And I think there's an argument. Why not put him there before even Bregman comes back? Whatever. Put Toro at third base for now. Let's have just Marcelo go to second against right-handed pitching. Against lefties, at this point, it's like whatever. Just have Marcelo Meyer start getting some ABs against lefties. Who cares? Just do it. I don't know, man. I know Robbie Ray was on the mound today. But the Red Sox, they were getting to him today. Yes, the right-handers were coming through, right? Ref Snyder, Bromy, they were doing, Cedon as well later on, right? They were coming through, but I just feel like, man, come on. You got to get some good defense in this game. It is what it is. We can sit here and complain about it all we want. But I think Marcelo Meyer is eventually going to be that guy, especially when Bregman comes back. But I would not be mad at it at all if they just moved him there for tomorrow's game. Put him there, leave him there, say no more. That's what I think needs to happen. And then right after that, Ramos had the double, made it 8-5. And, game was pretty much cooked at that point. But moving on to the offense here. And, to be honest with you, I thought the offense was fine today. Yeah, you're kind of relying on the long ball. I'm a fan of, I kind of liked what the Giants were doing here today, right? Moving some runners over, getting the sack bunts down, just making some solid contact, getting some base hits along the way. I'm a big fan of that, right? And the Red Sox, I feel like too many times that, we all love the home runs, right? But today was one of those days where, hey, you lived on the home run for the most part. You just couldn't have the other part of the team step up for you. Fourth inning, though. This is where, and even Alex Cora, he talked in the postgame, and he said, well, we'll get to Cora getting ejected here in a little bit, but Cora said one of the big frustrations for him was thinking back to Abraham Toro getting thrown out at home plate. All right, so fourth inning, Toro had a 2-out base hit, Seti with a double. Once again, good game for Cedar Rafaela today. And then Toro was thrown out at home on the play. He moved a little bit to his right, a little bit, not an astronomical amount. You have a little wiggle room there. I believe it's 3 feet, either to your right or to your left, until you're kind of called out of the baseline. I felt like, he moved a little bit to his right. He jumped over the glove of Patrick Bailey, and then the umpire called him out. I'm thinking, like, what are we doing here? Like, I thought maybe at first, maybe the glove got him or something, but then you look at the replay, and no, looks like he cleared him, and he should have been safe there. I don't know what the umpire was even thinking on that play. I'm not so sure. And then eighth inning, after the home runs that started getting you in the lead there, eighth inning, you're down 8-5 at this point. Duran had a liner to right field, slides into second base. I feel like people might get on to me about this, but maybe I'm nitpicking with Duran here. Maybe it's because of the play in left. You're seeing these little tiny things with Duran. He's a leader of the team. I love Jaron Duran, but part of me, I get it. You're sliding hard into the bag, but I just feel like please just try to stay on the bag so you don't have these situations come in, right? I'm always prevention is the best medicine. But he slid into second base. Good slide, good hustle from Duran. So that's why I'm not mad at it. But you just love for the hand to just stay on the bag if possible. I get it. The guy runs angry. I understand that. But in a key moment like that where you got your last gasp, you'd love for Duran to stay on the bag. But hand came off. He got the finger back in. But immediately my reaction was, that's really close. And they challenged it, but I was still thinking he was going to be out, right? Even, before we saw the replays and whatnot, I just knew. I'm thinking to myself, I think it's just going to be too close, and I don't think they're going to turn it over. And then they show the replays. They're showing it. And they're showing his finger getting back in before the tag. Extremely close. And then the booth, wherever they're doing the replays, wherever they're doing the challenges, they didn't get it right. I think those people up there, they were wanting to get to dinner a little early tonight, and they were saying, hey, all right, no, he looks out. No, he looks out. It seemed like they didn't really take their time. This is where I'm confused because there's so many times where it takes them a while to look at the reviews, right? To look at the challenges. And it takes forever on plays that I just feel like really shouldn't take all that much time. But then the ones you really need to look at, you're done. Just like that, you move on, you say he's out, and then you get it wrong. So it's like, what is going on here? Major League Baseball, I think you got to get this straightened out. I know, it sounds like I'm complaining, sounds like I'm being a homer, I'm biased, whatever it may be. I would say this for any team. It's like, you got to clean this up. If you have the technology, you have to do better. Got to do a better job. But where was I there? Duran, he got thrown out after that. Cora, he got ejected as well. But Cora said, he's frustrated over the Toro play from the beginning of the game. Just a messy game here today. A messy game. Again, the offense was fine, I thought. But the sloppy defense, the umpires, not so much the umpires, a couple of bad calls, in my opinion. But you got to get it right. The defense, though, that to me, it weighs more heavily here. You got to clean it up. A couple of separate moments here today that it really cost you in the end. Really cost you in the end. But let's see what you guys and gals are saying here in the chat. What do we got going on? Let me know your reactions to this series in the chat. I'm going to get to the Angels preview in just a moment here. What are you all thinking? Let me know. Dario Santana, I still feel they will trade Duran and Cora will be fired. I'm still leaving open the possibility that Duran could get moved. This is where I wonder what the Red Sox they think about Duran. Yes, they say he's a leader. Yeah, he is. Absolutely. Right. I love Duran. I think he's awesome. I love the way he plays. I love the aggressiveness, the way he plays. He's a hard worker out there. I'm just wondering what the Red Sox think. It's weird, right? Because with Duran, he has this skill set. It's very hard to replicate, right? He brings that speed, both with the base running and in the outfield. He can change the game with his legs, right? He's up there in triples right now. I believe he is the major league leader in triples. I could be wrong on that. But I do wonder what the Red Sox think there. I wonder if maybe because he's making, little miscues along the way, and yes, you love, what he brings to you when it comes to the speed, when it comes to the leadership. I wonder if something could happen, right? I mean, you know how this front office operates, right? They're heavy on the analytics. He's had his troubles against lefties this year. He's not quite that same offensive performer that we saw last year. You have seen a little bit of regression with Duran, especially defensively, right? He was very good defensively last year, and he's just not quite that same defender. I wonder what the Red Sox think. There's teams out there that are interested, right? We've seen the Padres interested. There's been a little something about the Braves out there where, they've shown some interest, possibly. I can tell all of you at home that, I've been told that Duran, the Braves, there has been at least a conversation there, right? There is something that has been communicated between both teams. Is that more just kicking the tires? Probably. But I don't know how substantial that could be. But then again, with the Braves, are they going to be going out there and making a big buy? I don't know. Chris Sale just went down. So what's going to happen there? I don't know. To me, that's where I just wonder if you're going to move an outfielder. Is it going to be Duran or is it going to be Abreu? Or do they even move one of them? Do they end up just figuring it out now that you got DH? But Yoshida's going to be coming back. So I don't know. There's a lot of questions right now, and there's not a whole lot of answers. And I think you still just have to wait for the floodgates to open a little bit more to, kind of see what teams are really looking for. That's when I think, again, it's still a little too early, right? We're close to July, but I still think you're going to have to wait for things to open up a little bit. But I wouldn't be surprised if Duran or Abreu ends up getting moved. I really wouldn't. You are going to start seeing some moves, though. I think you will. Now, let's get to the Angels. Let's get to the Angels here. And, dropped 2 out of 3 against the Angels at home last time. We're all thinking at that point, is our season over? Are we done? We go to the Bronx and we end up winning the series, and all of a sudden the Red Sox are back, right? And then all this stuff happened in the past week. So I think we're going to see a different series this time around, but we got to clean up a lot of what was going on in the last series. Now, let's take a look here at the upcoming matchups. Here we go. Walker Buehler opening it up. Game 1, Garrett Crochet for Game 2. And then Game 3, it is TBD because we did get a little news here today. A little news. Hunter Dobbins going to the IL. And, he didn't look amazing in his last outing. you kind of thought, was there something up, or he's maybe just having an off day? But, well, there you go. Having some a little bit of soreness in the elbow. Hopefully that's nothing, because he's gotten Tommy John before. Hopefully that's nothing substantial. But it's looking like Richard Fitz, who was with the team today, looks like he's going to get that start, I would imagine, right? Remember, he came back up not too long ago. He got knocked around quite a bit. He got optioned back down to the minor leagues. So, but for the Angels right now, 37-40, 2.5 back in the wild card. So they're right there in the mix with the Red Sox. They're 4-6 in their last 10. When it comes to the starters for the Angels, you got Jack Kokonowicz, Tyler Anderson, and Kikuchi. Remember with Anderson that last time at Fenway Park, he got into it, right, with the coaching staff, right? The players are getting involved there. They were kind of yelling at each other, shouting at each other. And, yeah. So I wonder if that'll be interesting this time around. Seemed like everything calmed down after that, so probably nothing there. But they knocked around Tyler Anderson in his last start, as well as Yusei Kikuchi. And Jack Kokonowicz has not been having himself a good year. Kokonowicz, ERA at a 5.38, FIP at a 5.69. This is a guy with some pretty good velo. He's got himself a pretty nasty sinker, but he hasn't been locating it this year. As you can see, almost 2 home runs per 9 on the year. So he's been very prone to the long ball. He has not been commanding his pitches. This is someone the Red Sox need to go to town against. Absolutely do. You got to Anderson last time. You got to Kikuchi last time. They're going to make their adjustments. But for the Red Sox, whatever the heck you did last time, try to replicate that. But everybody, if you are watching this on NESN, I do have to wrap it up right there. Thank you for watching today's post-game show. We are going to finish up on YouTube if you want to see the end of the show. But NESN viewers, I'll talk to you next time. But the big key for this series, in my opinion, it is Mr. Walker Buehler. Walker Buehler, I think right now, he is pitching for his job right now, in my opinion. Now, I'm not going to say staying on the payroll, but at least like a spot in the rotation as of right now. He is the veteran guy. They're going to give him some more leeway, but he has been very inconsistent since coming back from the IL. He was looking good before that. But since then, he has not been able to figure it out. A terrible start last time against the Mariners. 8 runs, 8 hits, 4 walks, 3 1/3 innings pitched. He's got to get this figured out. Now, to me, I think the key with Buehler, just stick to a plan. Don't be going all over the place with all these different pitches, right? Focus on a few, throw strikes, pound the zone, stick with the sinkers. That's been a good pitch for him this year. I think he needs to lead the way there. Mix in some cutters as well. Go with the slider as your out pitch. This year, the Angels, they have a -2 run value against sinkers. Get some ground balls. I know second base has been an issue, but whatever. Try to induce that weak contact. I think go with the sinker. That's been his best pitch. He's got some good tail on it. I think it's a nice pitch for him. Against sliders, they are 28th in run value. So I say pound the zone with your sinkers. Try to get the swing and miss with the slider. And mix in some cutters as well. The Angels are 29th in run value against cutters. Garrett Crochet. I say Garrett Crochet, just keep on doing your thing, man. Just keep pounding the zone with the fastball. You've been one of the best pitchers in baseball this year because of that fastball. All right, working those sweepers. Mix in some cutters if you want. Do whatever the heck you want to do. It's your playground. Go out there and dominate. Don't change a thing. Richard Fitz, I just think he needs to locate better. I think that's going to be the big key for him. He came back his last start, and he was just getting hit around. If he ends up starting this game, let's see what ends up happening. I would imagine he's going to get the start. But, yeah, the last time out, he was leaving just meatballs right over the plate. You got to locate a little bit better. So we'll have to wait and see what ends up happening here. Now, if we go to tomorrow's game, right, I usually just do a series preview, but let's take a look-see. Let's take a look-see here when it comes to tomorrow's game. Now, when it comes to the Angels against Buehler, you've had a few guys homer off of him. You've had Kingery, O'Hoppe, Trout has a homer against him. I believe Trout hit like a 800-foot home run against Richard Fitz his last time, I believe. Taylor Ward, he's been hitting bombs all year. Travis d'Arnaud with a home run as well. So, yeah, some of these guys, they've been very comfortable against Buehler, so that doesn't make me very comfortable. But I think if you just go in with a good plan, attack with the sinkers, get the ground ball, get the swing and miss on the slider, mix it up a little bit with the cutter. Just don't be going all around here with like 7, 8 different pitches, right? Just focus on a few. Focus on quality instead of quantity. I think that's the big thing with Walker Buehler. And Kokonowicz, just go to town against this guy. Go to town. He's going to hang stuff. Just do whatever the heck you want to do against Kokonowicz. But everybody, I'm going to wrap it up right there. I want to say thank you for coming out here today. And apologies for the post-game show last night. We had the microphone not working in the first few minutes of the show. Luckily, I ended up catching it. While it was processing, YouTube, it takes forever to process. I don't know why it took so long this time around, but I had to make it private because if I just left it out, for public, and then people were clicking on it and you don't hear what I'm saying, well, then they're just going to click right off the video. So I had to leave it private. And then when it got done processing for me to edit it in YouTube, that's when I was able to cut it out. So unfortunately, that took a little while. So if you were looking for that post-game show yesterday, I apologize. But if you want to go watch it, it's up now. But it's kind of old news at this point. We'll be back here tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. I want to say thank you again for coming out for today's post-game show. We'll see here if they can get themselves back on track. I will say this. It's a good Giants team. It's a good Giants team this year, and it's even better now with Raffy in the lineup. It's going to be a hard lineup to pitch to, but I think the Red Sox, they could have won this series. It was absolutely a winnable series here. They had this one today, and they shot themselves in the foot. They've shot themselves in the foot a ton of times this year, and they got to get this right. We'll see. We will see. But I think over the next couple of weeks, when you start getting Bregman back, you figure out what to do with Yoshida, especially when Bregman comes back. That's what still gives me optimism about this team, even without Raffy, because they've shown you the last several games here that they can win ball games without Raffy. But you know that you have the pieces that, even if they're not there now, they will be back here eventually. So Bregman at third. I think Meyer and his good defense is going to be perfect at second base. This is why Romy, I think, again, he was in there today against lefties, or the lefty Robbie Ray. But Romy, I just think, to me, I say just keep him at first base at this point. I'm okay with Marcelo Meyer going up against lefties, even if that means you keep his defense, his glove in the field. That's what I think. What do I know? Everybody, go enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. We'll be back here tomorrow night. It is going to be a late one. It is on the West Coast. I believe the game starts at 9:30 tomorrow. We'll be back here late again tomorrow and Tuesday night. So, everybody, go enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow.